you hear me okay? All clear?
Yes. Yeah.
Excellent.
Bu Yanti.
Hello.
Uh, okay. Can you say something? Can I?
Hello, Pak Farid. Did you hear
Okay.
me? Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. We will wait for a few minutes. Hope there's more people coming. I really like to thanks for all your um, time this morning, to willing to talk to us and share some of your experience and expertise. Um, I think I would like to ask 1 or 2 more minutes to provide the people who will come join and late in the process of joining before we starting our session this morning. Thank you for those who already uh, log in. All right. The spec of people who are already signing and login, I would like to kick off the meeting today. Today is part of our uh, emerging coastal leaders session, where we would like to provide a platform for participant of our Southeast Asia Coastal Leader programs. For those who's not familiar with this, in short, I would like to ask probably Charlotte to kick off the program just 1 minute, and also explaining about the program. Time is yours, Charlotte.
Thanks, Farid. Thanks, everyone, for joining. It's really nice to be here, and thank you so much to the speakers. I know Farid is really excited to have all three of you here, and hi, Ibu Janthi. It's nice to see you here. It's been a while. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Charlotte McKellar. I'm the team lead for this activity where we're collaborating with Farid to support Southeast Asia coastal leaders in developing their skills and capacity and confidence to participate in global dialogue, bringing their local voices to really try to influence and advocate for the issues that are happening in their communities. So as part of this, we've organized speaker series. So our participants can really get to know other people, especially experts in the field from Southeast Asia, who can teach them about their experience and share their stories, both their stories of success and maybe even their stories of failure. So without further ado, I'll hand it back to Farid. But again, thank you so much to our speakers. We really appreciate you taking the time, and I know I'm excited to listen today.
All right, thank you, Charlotte. So, good morning, everybody. I think most of you in the Southeast Asia, except probably Charlotte and Ben in the other part of the world. This morning our format is more interactive. We probably more use the dialogue, two-way dialogues between speakers, and I will lead the discussion. And I will also welcome any of the participants to ask questions. This is the best time for you to ask from the top women leaders. I think in the respect of Mother Days, we have a very good panelists today, all mothers. Combined together, they probably equal to at least probably 70 years of experience in fisheries. So that's a lot of expertise. I will introduce them very shortly, but I will expect they will also to introduce themselves and the organization they work briefly before I start kicking off the question. So we have Bu Janthi from AP2HI, AP2HI in Bahasa Indonesia, one of the prominent leaders in sustainable fisheries in Indonesia. Work with a lot of private sectors, and also has been known for in Indonesia one of the people who can speak with the government and listen by the government, because she for many years lead a very strong organization. In Vietnam, we have Ms. Wei, the founder and CEO of MCD, another prominent organization in Vietnam. I think even one day I went to a hotel somewhere in Halong Bay. I was surprised the hotel was one of the partners of MCD long time back. I think this is a testament of her great works in Vietnam. And last but not least, Ms. Aya Silva, the country lead, the vice president of Rare Philippines. I worked with Aya in different hat before, so this is the first time I have chance to be in the same panel with Aya. So let's start with internal individual introduction. I will let Bu Janthi to explain a little bit about herself and also her organization and in the current works.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. It's very nice to join the meeting today. So I come from the FHSI, as Pak Farid already mentioned before, that we are in the organization industry for the sustainability of fishing capture from the upstream to the downstream. And we are specifically on the fishing activity in the pole and line and hand line in Indonesia. So I would like to, maybe this is a good time for us to share our insight for everybody here. Thank you.
Thank you, Bu Janthi. How many companies currently within the IP2HI?
Yeah, we are now almost 70 members come from the industry, and we manage about more than 20,000 fishermen along our organization. So we do the activity from, we start the organization since 2012, but in legal 2014. And we work with the many program for the fishery improvement program and help the our people to have a better understanding about what is the sustainable initiative that we have to do. And one good thing is the program, when we start 2014, that we also have the aim for the two of our mission is for the sustainability, and the second one is for the improving the livelihood of our people. So come from these two vision, then we have so many tools how we can. So that's why we think about the how we can get the certification, so we can prove our people, our activity of the fishermen, traditional fishermen, can be accepted in the global market. So this is our success story, that since 2014, then we can achieve the certification on the 2021st. Yeah. Yeah, this is what we can say now.
Okay, thank you. There's a lot of things later related to your success story that we like to discuss further. Next, I would like to ask Ms. Wei to introduce and tell a little bit about what is MCDs.
Good morning, Pak Farid. Good morning, speakers. Good morning, Ms. Charlotte and dear participants. Hello from very Shanxi, Hanoi, Vietnam. So talking about MCD, our full name is Center for Marine Life Conservation and Community Development. So last week we celebrated 23 years of anniversaries. When we started 2 decades ago, we are the one who established the first ever marine ecosystem-based protection area to be managed by the local communities. And 2 decades later, our organization continued to work with the governments and others to make sure that Vietnam also have quite numbers of protected areas. The coastal communities are more adaptive to the climate change and be more resilient. So we have 2 legs. One leg is to conserve ecosystem of marine and coastal areas. The other very important components of our work is to empower the local communities, the most vulnerable people along the coast. So I hear a lot of similarity of what Bu Janthi just say. We can do different things, but our heart is central, is the fishing communities. Thank you. Thank you for these opportunities.
Thank you, Ms. Wei. I have an opportunity to work with Sway for a few years now, and really admire her success. Last, Aya, go ahead.
Hi, good morning, everyone. So quite similar, I think. But just as background, so I'm with RARE. It's an international organization working in the intersection of conservation and behavior change. So RARE's mission is to inspire change so that people and nature thrive. So similarly, looking at both the nature and how it benefits people. And at the core of our work is community-led co-management. So also quite similar. Understanding that people who are closest to the resources, the ones who have most to gain or lose when nature improves or declines, are the best positioned to also manage their resources. So our biggest program, our flagship program at RARE, is called Fish Forever, which is our work with coastal fishing communities towards sustainable fisheries. And I lead the Philippines team of RARE, and we have been in the Philippines for about 16 years now, working with now about 90 local government units. So we work at the local level, both local government and communities, and then also advocate for some national policies to build an enabling environment for our community-led work.
Thank you, Aya. May I know which BIFA region you mostly work at this moment?
So quite diverse. A lot of our work is in the Visayas area. So the largest one is in the Tanyon Strait, which is the largest protected seascape, the internationally protected area. But we also have work in several other regions like Antique, and then in region 8, Eastern Samar, Southern Leyte, and so forth.
All right, thank you. Okay, let's start with kicking out the hard question, the main menu. I'm gonna start with Aya. So RARE often says that thinking about big ocean ocean protection means focusing on local communities. In your experience, what helps decision makers truly recognize municipal fishers and coastal community as a key partners in conservation and fish governance, not just beneficiary of the project?
Thank you, Farid. So as I mentioned, where our approach is really community-led co-management, and that entails a big shift in thinking about community members as not just beneficiaries, and even to an extent, if you think about, when we start with doing marine protection, what what happens is actually resistance from the community, right? Fishers will be understandably concerned that if there are restrictions on fishing, where or how they fish, what gear, what times of the month or year, their biggest concern is how will we feed our families. And so the big change happens when decision makers see that the community members actually have ownership over their resources and care about the protection. And that doesn't just happen, right? In many cases, local governments or governments start with policy and enforcement. But what we do is we start with listening. Through participatory mapping and empathy mapping, we seek to understand what fishers care about, and how they relate to their resources.
Okay.
Directly involved in mapping their fishing grounds and defining which areas will be no-take zones, which areas will be used for managed access, which is sustainable use areas, right? With restricted gear, and restricted seasons. So these harvest control measures. And when local governments saw how detailed and accurate that knowledge was from local fishers, Of course, it's driven by data, right? We come in with data, but the powerful part is how they see that the fishers actually know very well what the fishing grounds are like, especially with indigenous communities. We have worked in Southern Palawan with indigenous communities where they know traditionally, even without the mapping, even without the data, the larval dispersal data, they know actually like these locations are the traditional fishing grounds. This is where their ancestors used to fish. These are the areas that are healthy and need protection. And when local governments see that the fishers are also experts in the knowledge of their fishing grounds, they can be seen as co-designers, as co-owners. We also bring fishers' voices into the insights and policy making, and what that means is that, although we bring data, it's very different if you just talk about catch per unit effort declining. That's a very cold and accurate, but it's different. It becomes a lot more urgent and human when a fisher actually says, I used to be able to feed my family with the fish that I catch. I used to be able to catch 10 kilograms, and now I can barely catch enough to feed my family. Then that shift also really happens. So really, yeah, in our experience, it's when fishers demonstrate the ownership, that they care about their resources, that they want to manage it, and they advocate that they want to protect it too. And that is when also the decision makers really see them differently, beyond just beneficiaries, but actually co-managers of the resources.
One thing that you mentioned before that's very interesting for me is that you're using in Fish Forever, you're using behavioral science and community campaigns. What kind of success story messages or communication approach that you think the most effective to inspire real behavior change within the coastal communities?
Yeah, so it's a combination of things, and as I mentioned, the first thing we do is really understand the motivations and barriers towards protection that's happening in the community. It's not a one size fits all. There are sentiments and feelings, and so we draw from a set what would be useful. So I can share a few that we found to be quite useful. One is what we call the fish game. It's a simulation game where we have materials like small fish and corals and pretend that they're fishing. So there's multiple rounds. Like it starts with open access, and we simulate like what happens when everybody goes fishing without any restrictions, and then move on to next rounds of what happens when we restrict the access. And that's a powerful way to drive home the impact, and turning the abstract science of fisheries and why you shouldn't catch juvenile fish into something they can really see and experience. And what we've seen is that that's more powerful than just saying, like doing an information campaign, just saying that don't fish juveniles because it's bad. But if they actually experience it, even through a fish game like that, that's something that they can more easily understand and really internalize. We also focus on identity-based messaging. So instead of just emphasizing the restriction, we build the emotion, and one key emotion that we often use is pride. And so we build the pride, for example. So instead of just having posters of do not do this and do not do that, we have posters of images of fishers saying like, I am a responsible fisher. And as a responsible fisher, these are the things that I do. So it's a shift from rules to identity to help increase the voluntary compliance with rules and regulations. Social norms also matter when they know and understand that others in the community are also following the rules. That breaks the barrier of the sentiment of them feeling like, well, why will I follow rules when other people don't? And then so they'll just get all the fish and I won't get any. But if you build that social cohesion and establish the norm that all the fishers in the community, or most fishers in the community, actually follow the rules, that also drives the behavior change. And maybe finally, I'll share also that there's a lot to do with trust as well. At the core of it is building trust with each other, that that they will follow the rules, that they will take care of the resources, trusting the community and the local government also, that they're working together, and that also helps drive the behavior.
For many years, I know Rare, both here and in Philippines, known for have been working closely with major fishers, women, youth. How important for you to build capability to do storytellers and champion skill from the bottom, from the coastal member itself?
Yeah, we feel that it's critically important to really engage different people in the community. If it's primarily driven by a single leader, it's like, let's say, a mayor, and we're very thankful for mayors who are real champions. That's excellent, but it's also vulnerable to political turnover. In the Philippines, the terms are 3 years, and so things can shift dramatically when a mayor changes. So while we also work with mayors, we build the capacity, we advocate for policies, and mayors are a key player in driving that. We also work with, as you mentioned, youth, women, community leaders, because we feel that it's important for a few reasons, right? Like, one is the durability, the permanence of these changes, because the more you distribute that ownership, the more it becomes permanent. But it's also critical for us to engage all of these different groups, because it's also important for different voices to be heard. They come with different different interests, different approaches. So women often connect conservation to household stability, food security, their children, and then the youth also care about future impact. What will this mean for them in decades to come? And so by building all of those perspectives into the plans, it ensures inclusivity, and ensures that the likelihood of success will be higher.
Thank you. Any specific program that specifically is targeted for youth ability to engage and become a powerful storytellers, or maybe a plan or already existing programs?
Yeah, so we have an initiative called the Fish Force. So it's an acronym for Fish Forever Community Educators. These community educators are not all youth, so it depends in the location. Some are community leaders, and some are youth, and that's how we engage the youth, and we also tap schools in our communities what we do with the youth is help build their awareness. So we also do the games, and use the tools like the fish game to help the youth understand, and then really empower the youth to educate their own parents and their own communities, to 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 follow the rules and support enforcement and participate in the management of their areas.
Thank you, Aya. That's really enlightening for us to hear that experience. Let's move to Vietnam now. I would like to ask Ms. Wei, in your area, Vietnam, coastal area facing many challenges from climate change and development, how can storytelling help decision makers better to understand the needs of coastal communities?
Thank you, Mr. Farid. I find the story that Ms. Aya just mentioned very resonate with what we are doing in Vietnam. So for all, you know that Vietnam is considered as one of the 5 countries very much strongly affected by sea level rise, climate change, right? And the coastal areas face a lot of issues. And as the organization, we are not government. We are also not enterprise. We are a social organization. So we work closely with the communities. So how to make sure that the decision makers aware of the issue that the community, face. We see that who is the most closest to the issue. So we work with the community, different groups, and they see the thing, but how to tell about the impact. So it's where we have our intervention. So and we also aware that there are different priorities. We have a central government in Hanoi. We have the provincial levels, and then we have the down to the closest to the community. We have communal level. So in Vietnam, we have 2 tiers of the government structures. And the community is the one who have a production, who have aquaculture, who do fishing, and the one who face the most, issue. Who know where the erosion happened during the coast? Who know where the mangrove is cut? Who knows about that the number or the production of catch is reduced, decline this year? And who knows that the price of the fuel for each shipping catch is, increased? The community. But how to convert the issue into a story? So we organize the event. So in Vietnam, we don't do much of the campaign. We do the event, community-based events. Sometimes MCD also support the community to organize what we call a competition, or the art play. So people play different roles, and then the way they talk about the issues. So under the form of art, songs, or the painting, or instead of telling the government people, hey, this area is eroded, this area is the zone water already come in, we cannot do agriculture anymore. So they do the painting, they do the competition. And also we because normally the fisher not the one who talk, they talk among themselves, but not the one who talk to the outsider. So we also use the liveries. I refer to what Ms. Aya just mentioned. We also have the program we call ambassadors program, mentorship. So far, we have employed or recruited and trained already, I think already hundreds of young people. They are living in the site, closest to the community. They can go to the university, they have job, but they also somehow working along the areas. So we have them and the cohort, train them, and then they are the one who tell the stories. So during the event, we invite the government representative to attend our event, right? So they observe the thing. And then after the event, we only have the kind of brief put on our social media, but we use a very neutral language. Because in Vietnam, the way we talk, the way we convey our message, also very considered. And then that's where MCD role is very, I think, as a mentor, very important. You see the thing, but how to talk about the thing? You need to think. So this is a process-oriented. So answer to your question, that raising the awareness of the decision makers, we have to aware that who are they? what level they are, because the people in Hanoi have different priorities. They do regulatory framework, they do the law. However, the people in the province, they are execution, implementation. But the one who the communal level, they have to balance between aware, sometimes they have a different interpretation, the same law, the same regulation, but they understand differently. So the thing MCD can do, the most important one is to help them to understand correctly what it means and how to put it into the context of their local communities. Thank you.
Interesting, very interesting. In my experience working with you, and also I heard from Aya before that many of your approach to government is based on data. You use data to show that what happened and how that affect the regulation. However, sometimes policy discussion focus too much on technical data and reports. Can you share example where personal story or community voice have more stronger message to the government or to the industry?
Yeah, this is exactly where the what we call the non-state actor like MCDs, using our voices. You know that in our country we have the government structure, we have the industry. Sometimes industry have very different and conflicting interests, right? The one who want to do fish, the one who want to buy the fish, the one who want to sell the fish. But for us to talk about the issue in the coastal areas, data is not, we are not the one who produce data. We have a number of research institutions very reliable on data, but how to convert the data into a story, it is our role. Sometimes the scientists say, hey, there are 30 meters of the long coast already have shown water in, and they provide a lot of facts and figures or number of catch, or how long the fishing trips, thing like that. But for us, we use this data because we have to base on the data. We cannot just invent ourselves, but to tell about what it means. So we use a lot of stories. Like I said, we MCD staff also use very actively our own social platform. We have LinkedIn page, we have other pages. We know that the government people, they also aware of those message. We use both formal, that means we attend the government organized events where we talk, and then we also always try to bring the representative from the community where we work with to that event. And then we organize somehow that they can voice, that means they can have their speaking in a way that they understand the issue and then they convey from their perspective. So to have them, to have the local community appear in the government organized event, make our effort. How to make sure that we secure that spot for them, and how to make sure that their voice is heard. So this is a process, and we are very proud of our role. And sometimes simple thing like exchange. We have a very long course, right? So people in the north, if they want to learn from things happen in the central coast or in the Mekong Delta, sometimes some MCD role is to only to pilot and then to demonstrate what it works there. But we cannot do the scaling up like the government, right? So instead of, because our resources is limited, so what best we can do is to do the exchange. So people talk about it themselves. And then during that exchange, not only the community to the community, but we always ask the local government to join. So the decision maker, they hear, they see, and then they observe how the community interacts. And that also provide very, I think it's vibrant input. The scientists provide valid input, but we provide vibrant inputs for the decision-making process.
Okay, lastly, same with Aya. You mentioned that you work with the youth. Do you have any specific program in the past or in the future that specially targeted this special group, youth, women, fishers, coastal leaders, elders to strengthen their ability to tell their story? Do you have any specific program? Ms. Wei, I asked you.
Yes. I just mentioned that MCD we have two youth-based program. The first program we call Blue Lighthouse. Blue Lighthouse program is to attract the talent, the young talent in the cities. So the people just graduate or they are in the third year of university. They can learn anything, but they want to pay attention to the marine life and ocean issues. So they're curious about what MCD is doing. So they sign up for the internship, and normally when they are accepted, they must work with the MCD for 6 months. During that 6 months, not only working, but we provide them with training, what it means. As if someone want to be a leader like me, they can learn how to become a leader. But someone want to focus purely on the technical matters. So other MCD staff will provide to them, and then they also send to the field, train in the field. So that is one program. The other program we call Marine Ambassador Mentorships, MAM. So that program also attracting the youth, but the young people who are located in the site, not in the city, closest to the site. The one who already graduated, they can do someone else, but in their own time, they want to contribute to the ocean work, marine work. So we also engage them, but in a shorter time, maybe 12 weeks. That 12 weeks sometimes transform their life. So that they stay there in the network of the local network of MCD. So far we have about already more than 100 Blue Lighthouse in the city, and we have about every year we have about 10 or 11, 10 or 15 ambassador in the site. So total up, every year we have about more than 20. So imagine that in 2030, in the next 5 years, we expect to have more than 200 youth who are devoted to marine life. If they can do finance, they can do law, but their heart, some part for the marine.
Wow, interesting how you're empowering youth to be engaging with the coastal livelihood. Yeah. Okay, the last one. Miss Janthi is still with us, of course. Janthi? Okay. Janthi, I think your organization is a little bit different because you work a lot with private sectors, but you use the power of private sector to work closely with the government to ensure that the small-scale fishers could be helped and assisted in having a livelihood. So my question to you, what kind of stories usually from Indonesia that most powerful in helping government to understand and industry to understand the real need of small-scale fishers?
Yeah, thank you, Farid. I think the most powerful stories are the stories that make people understand what is usually invisible. Yeah, sometimes very often fisheries discussion happen at the level of the policy. Yeah, trade, sustainability, target, or protection, production number. But coastal communities experience fisheries at a very human level. Yeah, they experience uncertainty every day. Yeah, whether fish are still available, whether fuel costs continue rising, whether their children will continue working in fisheries, or whether traditional fishing spaces will still exist in the future. Yeah, this is happened in our fishing activity and our people in the coastal area. So when communities speak directly about these realities, decision makers begin to understand that fisheries are not only about resources, they also have to think about the people, identity, and the survival. This has happened in in Indonesian pool and land and headland right now, that where the fishing effort and the number of fishing boat decrease and decrease. So we every day we have to talk to the government about the situation. So with the as what we already mentioned about the data, this is very important. So once a point that we talk when we talk to the government about how is the number of the fishing fleet at the time, and then the decreasing position and also the production. This is give the new atmosphere for us that government still want to think about that one. So one thing I also learned over the years, in the small scale fishery should not only be presented as vulnerable communities. They holders so many knowledge. They understand the ocean through generation of life experience. And those also in the many ways they practice sustainability long before sustainability became an international agenda. So the most powerful narrative are not only stories about the hardship, they are stories that combine dignity, knowledge, and practical realities. Because when communities speak not only about the emotion, but also from credibility and solution, people listen differently. So I think this is very important for the future of the ocean governance. Communities should not only be consulted, but they should be recognized as a partner in shaping the future of our ocean. So not only talking about the target, about the any numbers, but how we can build the story that who is behind of everything that you eat, who is the people behind of that one. So from that one, then many we always talking with the government about how to make it our fishery is very sustainable, and also how you can make the people improve their livelihood. That's all.
Thank you, Nguyen. I think that's very interesting approach. You, your members, 70 members, mostly the supply chain actors, processing companies, the shipping companies. Some of them are actually sourcing from small scales. How do you use the stories? How the storytelling help to ensure that the protecting the ocean will improve community livelihood, not competing between companies and the small scales?
Yeah, this is a good question. It's very hard for me because it's always protecting area is something that give across of the what our aim. So sometimes this is in reality that in protecting area of ocean is mostly what they choose is all the area that small scale fishery operate. So in Poland land, they need bait as a part of the success fishing activity. But the bait should get from the protecting area. So if you have two two knife shape, you have to protect area and kill the people surrounding the activity, or you want to make it better for everybody. I understand that the concern of the protecting area is to have the ocean very healthy, right? So everybody understand about that one. But how to manage this one in between the fishing activity and about the protection? So the engagement of our, when we talk to the community and to talk to the government that, hey, let's also think about the people at the coastal, right? About the fishermen, which is their very traditional way. They are already recognized by the global market. So this is the condition that you have to help and support them, give them more solution. Yeah, there's nothing can be success if you have no solution on that one. So through we also built the FCMC. There's a fisheries co-management community. This is the community that everybody work together, from the stakeholder, fishermen, local government, researcher, academic, and also the central government, working, discuss together about what is happened in the area and then how they can improve. Yeah, how the solution on every angle of the bottleneck on the activity. So I think through the communication, step by step, everybody can think about what is the solution. This has happened a few months ago when the area in Papua, there are so many protecting area over there, and then all the fishing activity, especially for the Poland land, stopped. There's no more number of Poland land, which is Poland land is already recognized as a very sustainable fishing gear, and can help so many number of people surrounding the coastal area. So the number of fishing fleets decrease and decrease because of they cannot go for fishing. So once we already give the understanding to the local government, to the central government, this has happened, and they want to think about the solution. This is a good move, action of the local government through the academic, that they have to do the something different on angle on the how to protect that area, but also can give the support for the fishing activity, for the fishing gear that like pole and line. This is, I think, a good movement of the previous of the local government, what they want to also think about the people. Yeah.
Right. Oh, thank you. So I guess we will ask our audience whether they have a question. And of course, also panel can ask another panel specifically to share some secret sauce. Go ahead. Maybe from our team also, Charlotte or Ben, if you want to ask question. Anybody? Raise your hand. Rio. Go ahead, Rio. Introduce yourself a little bit, Rio, for our audience.
Sorry, can you hear my voice?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, thank you, Farid. Hello, everyone. My name is Rio Ahmad. I'm from Indonesia, Ibu Janthi. And also my organization, we call it Blue Forest or Yayasan Hutan Biru. We work on mangrove restoration, coastal livelihoods, and community-led governance across coastal and water system in Indonesia. For now, we are working in 7 landscapes in Indonesia, from Papua to Sumatra, and it's give all, your perspective in insight is really very relevant with our communities also. And thank you very much for the inspiring reflection and experience you shared today. I would like to ask a reflective question to all the panelists, particularly from the perspective of Southeast Asia coastal communities. In your experience, what is currently the most strategic and urgent pressure shaping the future of fisheries and coastal ecosystem in our region? Where is it primarily climate change that we discussed and global environmental shifts, or are local and structural pressures such as unsustainable fishing practice, destructive fishing, weak governance, and livelihood inequality still the deeper and more immediate drivers affecting coastal communities? That's my first question. So, which one, or there's two between climate change and local pressures, and there's two. My second question is still about youth. Because we also facing this challenge, even we have programs special for youth, but still many young people are living fisheries and coastal livelihoods, and we lack of narrative that make ocean stewardship meaningful and hopeful for young generation. That's why sometimes in coastal area, the youth, they have higher education, they live their village. And yeah, what about your perspective about around that? Thank you.
And I'll probably I'll ask Aya first. That's probably working a lot with this multi facet of climate change and environment. Go ahead, Aya.
Sure. So I won't be able to answer the question directly, of which is
Yes.
that's a tough question. But I think they kind of operate on different scales and also interact in the community level. So at what I can say is that climate change at the community level does bring a lot of pressure. We have tools that we use to understand the vulnerability of communities. What we're also exploring right now is understanding the relationship between resilience of the coral reefs with the resilience of the communities. And so what we're seeing or hoping also is that when the local fisheries are better managed, and we can improve the resilience to climate change. And I think part of the reason why I think like they're trying to disentangle the two is that in some ways the climate change is much difficult to address, right? Like reversing climate change is very difficult. What we can do is improving resilience and adaptation, and that's exactly what the local co-management and improving the management systems. That's really what we can do. So it's not so much a choice between two threats. It's in practice of the same approaches that can help with more directly addressing things like overfishing while also improving the resilience. But another aspect though is that in terms of local pressures, it's also varying, right? There's local pressures from the communities, which is about overfishing and sustainable fishing practices of local communities, and then there are threats of commercial fishing encroaching into municipal waters. And in the Philippines, municipal waters should provide preferential access and preferential rights to small scale fishers, and we're also pushing for exclusive rights, but in practice that's not being enforced all the time. So it's also an enforcement approach against encroachment of commercial fishers. I'll pause there.
Sorry, Ms. Wei, you want to add something on the climate change aspect of it in Vietnam?
Yeah, I think the pictures in Vietnam also very similarly. The pressure from, I don't use the word climate change, but earlier I mentioned about the salt water coming into the site, into the inland, right? So it's sea level rise. So that already part of the what we call climate change. So while dealing with the community, we talk about the thing that they can feel, they can understand, and but eventually we talk about the same thing. So I echo what Miss Aya just said, but I touch the other parts of the question that Rio just mentioned about how the young people leaving the fishing. There's also two different points here. One is that, you know, in Vietnam, for example, we also shift from fishing production total, you know, reduce so that we can increase aquaculture. So it means that the occupation of possibility still stay very close with the water. So the most challenge here is not very easy to leave the fishing. You leave the fishing, but there's not so many possibility for you to transform into other. So people along the coast, they still, you know, stay in somehow ecosystem. Either they do aquaculture or they do the services for the businesses that also very much relying on fishing, on fisheries. So that also motivated us, MCD, how to build up the youth along the coast, the workforce. They don't have necessary to stay in the boat going out fishing, but they stay in the ecosystem. And they fish differently. They influence their parents. They influence the way the government, local communities think about the fishery as a whole, not as a very single layer occupation. I don't know if we are too naive, but this is what we are doing right now, because you see different pressure, the climate change, the reduced space for production, the reduced, you know, IUU fishing also, right? You cannot go out to fish. You have to stay and do sustainable. And then also the possibility, you need the new skill, new mindset to convert into other very competitive market. So I think your question is very, very deserve the very thoughtful thoughts and then act together in Southeast Asia. You cannot just say in Vietnam, in Indonesia, or in Philippines. We need to explore it together. So I very much highly appreciate these opportunities. So open up the question for the young people. How do they think?
Right, thank you. I think for the interest of time, we still have 1 minute. I have a question here, but I think this is the question from J. Ray about, let me read it. Hello, I'm J. Ray from the Philippines. I work as a fisheries professional and queer development research practitioner in Negro Occidental Established Fisheries Network. And in Negros Occidental, an established fisheries network composed of women, youth, queer, fisher folks, and shared advocacy on reducing post-harvest fisheries losses in SSF. I want to seek your advice on navigating community level indifference, such as between gender, men and queer people, equal to traditional gender, and how can we strengthen the advocacy, gender sensitivity, and mainstreaming community level. I think I'm gonna address this to Philippines, probably Vietnam, because gender kind of queer kind of really not been discussed in Indonesia for some extent. So Aya, you have any thought? I think you can also read the question probably on the
Yeah, it's a fantastic question. I don't have a very good answer to. I'll draw also from reflections on working on gender outside of fisheries, but my experience of gender sensitivity inclusion is that it's not so much kind of indifference in that, you know, they don't care, but or resistance. It's about very deeply embedded norms and perceptions of roles. And so while I don't have a clear answer, like what to address it, but I think navigating it would entail, similar to what we do for behavior change, understanding first, doing empathy mapping, understanding what the perceptions actually are, where it's coming from, and then surfacing them and understanding and kind of figuring out what change needs to be made. It's also a lot of modeling, I think, and making it more real, because I think in many cases, especially for Gen Z and queer, for very conservative communities, and this is very present in the Philippines, it just feels very much unrelatable, outside, foreign to them, and I think that building of empathy and trust and understanding, and that how these things are already present, they're not foreign, and then these are my own children, my own nieces and nephews, like changes the perspective, and it makes it more real. So yeah, that's sort of my 2 cents, but I'd like to hear about for the others too.
Thank you. I think that's a good initial approach to answer the question. Unfortunately, we're not able to take more questions, although this is really interesting discussion. Pinchay, do we have any housekeeping, like taking pictures or something they have to do? Charlotte, maybe you know?
We can take a picture. Pinchay has been recording, but it would be nice to have everyone's face, especially our speakers, in a photo if we can.
Oh, okay. So if you can turn on your camera, I wonder who can have all the pictures. All right, so how I'm gonna do this? Pinchay, can you help me? Oh, let me take this.
We'll have to rely on the youth to be able to figure
Yeah,
out.
my screen only takes so much of picture. Okay, let me try. Okay, I already take one, and I give up. Let me.
I can take a screenshot if that would help.
Yeah, I can too. Thanks, Mark. The youth.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. I really want to express my gratitude for the speakers for attending and sharing so much incredible insights. I think this was really useful. I wish we had more time. Clearly, our participants have a lot of questions. So next time, we'll keep that in the back of our minds to make sure we have more time for Q&A. But again, thank you so much to all 3 of you for taking time out of your busy days. You're doing amazing things, and it's really inspiring just listening to you all.
Thank you, everybody, and thanks. See you again.
Thanks, Farid, too, for organizing.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you and bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.